Okay, I get asked this question a lot, or this issue comes to me a lot when I'm doing counseling. Most people do not really understand intimacy, and they don't understand the difference between intimacy and sex. A lot of marriages will fail, not just because of money or family issues or growing apart or, irreconcilable differences, which are usually personality differences. A lot of marriages fall to pieces when people's expectations are not met. You both have expectations that, one, you may have shared with each other, or two, you may not even realize you have those expectations, or till you get right into the relationship and then you're like, wait a minute, this is not what I like, this is not what I want, and I know I want something different. I may not be able to identify what I want, or sometimes you are able to identify what you want and it's not what you're getting. So expectations play a big part in relationships. If your expectations are not being met, then you get unhappy. And if you get unhappy, you can get disgruntled. If you get disgruntled, we all know you go down that pathway of resentment. You can stop talking, stonewalling, and doing all that stuff. And then, it doesn't get any better from there. So sex is a big thing. And one of the expectations I believe that couples need to set before they get married or they're in a relationship and it goes too far is, what are your expectations for sex long term? Now, some of those expectations are unrealistic, okay, for both men and women. I'm not just saying this is a one-sided thing. A lot of people have expectations that you're always going to have sex 10 times a day, 7 days a week, regardless of children, regardless of work, regardless of activities outside of those two parameters. And that the way you met and the whole thing about being rabbits is supposed to be ongoing. I hate to break the news to you. It is not realistic. It is not realistic, but is not impossible to amend or, change your habits to accommodate your functionality, your daily functionality. When children come into play, children take a lot of time, and rightfully so. Your investment as a parent is into this person that did not ask you to come into this world. Your investment into this being is to make sure that this being is self-efficient and has all the tools and everything needed in order to navigate this earthly realm. So children did not ask to come here. So your investment and your responsibility as a parent is to your children. Does that mean that you're supposed to negate your needs, the needs of your partner? Not at all. And oftentimes a lot of people use their children as excuses. They use a lot of excuses, but children are often number one, I should say. The second excuse that people will use for not having sex is that they're tired. Sometimes it's legitimate. Most often than not, it's legitimate. A lot of factors play into being tired. Your work hours, the amount of work you're putting in at the office, your schedule, the type of work you do. Also, the fact that women go through different changes in different periods of the time. A lot of the women that I've counseled are unaware of perimenopause that starts anywhere from 35 through 48, before actual menopause, and then menopause. It's actually menopause. It's a pause for men, if you think about it, but that's when your body is actually going through changes. And the same is true of men. Men also have midlife crises, and that can also occur during your 40s. Some people start as early as 30s. And then you have mental health issues. Don't forget, depression is real, anxiety is real, stress and stressors are real. All these things factor into why people don't have as active a sex life as they would want or they would need. And of course, we cannot forget this one. A lot of people put on their best face and best selves at the initial point of the relationship, the honeymoon phase I said earlier, because they're trying to impress, or they're trying to hook the person, or trying to get with the person. So you're your best self. It doesn't mean that that's your normal self or that's your true self, but it's a self that you portray in order to get what you want. You want to get married, you want to be in a relationship, and you will do whatever. Don't trick yourself. Don't lie to yourself. You will do whatever it takes to make sure that this person is enamored with you. The problem with that is you're not being honest. Did you guys have a conversation about sex and how it tapers off, or how you're not as sexual and that you're trying to keep it with the other person? Did you realize that you may be asexual, that you may not want sex at all? Because some people do not. Some people are not inclined to have a lot of sex all the time. In the beginning of the relationship is done, but it's not for upkeep. It's only to, to keep up appearances or for the moment. Sex is a big part of relationships. The difference between sex and intimacy is that intimacy can be something that is constant. It's something that doesn't have to leave the relationship, and it's something that can lead to sex, and sex that is shared between two people. Intimacy means touching each other, loving on each other, giving each other compliments, giving each other affirmations, telling each other how you feel about each other, lying down and cuddling, holding each other, massaging each other, speaking words of, of just love and allowing that person to know that you love them and you're there with them. Sex is not everything. It doesn't mean that everybody doesn't want sex. What it means is that sex should not be the priority in a relationship. But a lot of times it is. And because it is, then it creates a bigger problem. Ask yourself this question. If this person, something serious happened to them and they could not ever have sex with you, would you see yourself staying with this person? Would you still honor the vows for better or for worse? Would you stay with this person? Would you see companionship as an alternative to sex and not having sex? Or are you at a place in your life where sex is very important and therefore you don't see yourself compromising on that, or you don't know how to? It is a society that we live in. Every time we turn on the TV, we see images of sex. We see people who exude, sexuality, and everything is designed. And that's how we are created as human beings. We're created to procreate, and part of procreation is having sex. But if you can learn to keep the intimacy in your relationship alive, if you can learn to give each other what you cannot give when all the other things that I mentioned earlier come into play, and remember to lift up and edify each other through your love language, which is appreciation, which is gratitude, which is sheer acknowledgement of each other's function in the relationship and each other's contribution to the relationship, then sex does not have to become that big. And understand, I am not saying that what I'm proposing is a solution to your problems. What I'm saying is that maybe if you look at it and take this approach to your problem, which is making sex the be all and everything of the relationship, maybe then and only then can you come to the table and find an adequate compromise. My name is Ingrid Felton. As always, thank you so very much for visiting the YouTube channel. Continue to support me by your, liking the videos, subscribing to videos. Tell others about what I'm doing. Bring them and tell them that, you know what, I'm trying to help. I'm trying to provide my own contribution to the world. Thank you. And as always, have a great day. Bye.